because I get 3 canned food stamps. So what? I get all kind of snacks while I'm sitting here chilling or whatever, paying no bills. No bills. I'm on government assistance. My son back there with his snacks. Government assistance. Eat better today. Eat better today. So basically, when you get EBT, you put your kids on there and you got to make sure you have a social so they can be like, oh, this is a real fucking person. And then they approve you for like a couple $100 a month for food. And then you basically get your own little credit card to say your name and everything. And then you go swipe it up at the store because that's free money and free food. Yeah. But y'all might not have that in Canada because I heard these bitches get paid for having babies. Girl, the United States could never. Because if they did, I have about 6 kids by now.
I guess she didn't get the news flash, but I was trying to disseminate what she was referring to. So I guess she's American, obviously, right? And she's saying that people in Canada get paid for having babies. You didn't get the memo? It's definitely some people in America on government assistance getting paid just for having babies. In my personal opinion, because I feel like the benefits are on a multiplier. It's like the more kids you have, the more exponential the more exponentially you receive. And a lot of these kids, right? I feel like if you got you a Section 8 house because you got all these kids, I feel like the kids should get the master bedroom. That's just my opinion, because they're the reason why you have that house in most cases, I believe. But let's go ahead and get into the next clip. But first, if you guys could just do me a favor and like the video, I'm saying that on the front end. I know it's easy to forget, but it actually does help more than you know. And I forget all the time, but if you could just like right now, I would greatly appreciate it. Let's get into the next clip.
Look, y'all, leave these food stamps recipients alone. All these folks on Section 8, let them stay on Section 8, man. Listen, y'all worrying about them getting over on the system when the system is about to get over on you. Listen, if you put all these folks into the workforce, it's going to oversaturate the workforce. And once the workforce get oversaturated, guess what? Ain't no more raises. You go ahead and get rid of that. Companies have a whole different attitude when they have options. All the stuff you used to get away with work.
Man, get your ass back on the line. Nah, he's bringing up a good point. Let's hear his entire point. But I mean, he's finally giving me something to work with. I mean, you see, I really didn't have much to say about those first 2 clips because it's the same old wash and repeat. You know, just abusing, just being ignorant. At least he's giving me something to actually be able to, you know, have some semblance of talking about something with some substance.
Oversaturated, guess what? Ain't no more raises. You go ahead and get rid of that. Companies have a whole different attitude when they have options. All the stuff you used to get away with work, that ain't gonna happen. The least little thing, they'll fire you because you're easily replaced. So I know they tell y'all, listen, they're getting over, man, listen, don't be studying that, but don't fall for it. Because once they get them in here, guess what? These companies have a whole nother attitude. I'm just letting y'all know ahead of time. And guess what? These people that you don't like, these people that you look down on, now they're your co-workers.
Cool. So like I said, I appreciate he gave something more to talk about, right? He came at this from another angle. And so let's take our time with this because we don't usually get situations where somebody's actually talking about something that actually can extend to something important, right? So let's just break this down methodically. And first, in good faith, I'll address what I believe he said within his argument. That was a good point. He mentioned that companies act completely different in the way that they treat you and the way that they operate when they have options. And that's true. But that's just the market. That's just any market, right? It's simple. It's called supply and demand. I mean, we've heard of this since the beginning of time. Employees also act the same way if things shift in their favor and they have more options. And there are constant fluxes and shifts all the time, right? Or throughout time periods. So, yes, they do act a little bit different when they have options. Cool. That's always going to be a thing. I mean, you can make the same argument for AI, but there's one key difference when you disseminate people who might have been already in a profession that then have to pivot because of AI, and then people who are on government assistance. Because he said that they're about to flood the market, right? And oversaturate things. But when we're talking about government assistance and Section 8 and all this type of stuff, what are you worried about? Them flooding the market? Flooding the market with mediocrity? Because that's the key difference between someone who was already a professional who just by happenstance AI came and took their job. So now they have to find a different career or a different profession to get into because their profession is no longer existent. And somebody who's been on government assistance, who, when you really just break it down to the root of it, they have bad habits. Think of how many people do we see who have been on Section 8 for decades, let's just say 20 years, who then now when all this stuff is happening, all of a sudden, they don't know what they're going to do. And then we have to ask, so you've been getting your whole life paid for where you had nothing that you had to do. You had no job you had to go to. And in all that time, you didn't accumulate no skills. You didn't take no course. You didn't do no class, nothing. You have all the time in the world. You didn't read no book, all the time in the world, and you didn't do nothing. And now he thinks that the people who built up the habits to where they have all the time in the world and they don't use it, now they're going to be working and they're going to have less time, and now all of a sudden they're going to be caring about their professional development. I think that's just silly. I think, if anything, it'll actually make things better for professionals because there will be so much more saturation and so much more mediocrity flooding the market that it'll actually be harder to filter and harder to disseminate who's a good candidate. So I think after a while, when jobs keep on onboarding people and wasting their time and they realize, oh my gosh, this person is a headache, I think eventually they'll probably just want to pay more just so that they can get the quality person, and it'll also pay off over time as well. And that'll be somebody who can actually drive some results. So I don't necessarily agree with that. Now, I think that other professionals coming from other sectors and then coming into people's careers, now that can affect it as far as the supply and the demand. But I don't think I think if anything that's going to saturate, I think it's going to be the more labor focused jobs, the more dead end jobs, I should say, that will get more saturated and people will just be competing at the bottom. Because if you had all the time in the world to focus on your skill set and actually focus on improving yourself and you didn't use it, I don't think now all of a sudden when you have to react in real time and go and work a labor job first, I don't think that you're going to be working you're going to be working at McDonald's from 9 to 5, and then you're going to get off, and then you're going to be doing professional development when you had all the time in the world to begin with. So,
Hey, can I ask you something? Why do people care so much about what folks on food stamps buy? The entire purpose of the SNAP program was to make sure that everybody has access to food. So, who cares if they're using a portion of those dollars to buy snacks or juices? Kids love snack and juices, adults love snack and juices, so why should they not have access to those things too? And let's be real, a lot of people live in food deserts. They may not have access to those grocery stores that have affordable and nutritious food sources, and there may not be a reliable transportation source to get them from their neighbor.
why do they live in food deserts? I love it when we just bring up these little cliche terms and we don't ever start at the root. People live in food deserts because the area that they were in, they were stealing. And so those were worse areas. So then the businesses decide to leave because it's not profitable anymore. And then that's what you call a food desert. But if there was shame and if there was accountability within the community, then a lot of times their neighborhoods and communities wouldn't turn into food deserts.
Neighborhood to the grocery stores and then back to their neighborhoods. So what they may have access to quickly get food is those corner stores and gas stations. And what do corner stores and gas stations usually have? A lot of junk foods. Let's be real, not everybody knows how to prepare like a scratch meal with fresh ingredients.
Oh
Some
my
people
gosh.
never learn, and it could just be that they're living in a cycle of being in food deserts and all they've ever had access to was junk food. So, if we want to have a conversation about addressing food deserts and social inequalities and making sure everybody has access to nutritious food, that's a different conversation. And even if they do know how to make stretch meals, like they may not have the time. Like there are people working multiple jobs to make ends meet. So, who cares if they get a microwavable meal or some snacks or junk foods to just get them through the day? Like, why do people care so much about what they're spending their benefits on? I personally don't care. If people are using their benefits to feed themselves and their families, I feel like the program is working. But I've seen a lot of conversations lately about people like demonizing recipients of SNAP benefits for buying like junk foods in addition to whatever else they're buying. And I'm just like, they're buying food. What is the issue?
So she says she personally doesn't care. Cool, that's you personally, right? Personally, subjectively. Guess what? People have the right to personally feel however they want to feel as well. As well as she brought up this thing about some people were never taught to cook and all this type of stuff. Do you see what I mean again about that initiative thing? If people come into the market, you have all the time in the world, as well as all the resources. Don't you know people used to have to go and look at a cookbook and have to actually read or be taught by somebody in order, like they used to have to actually go take a class in order to learn how to cook if they didn't learn it at a young age. Now you can go and watch a TikTok and it'll show you step by step in 30, 60 seconds how to cook whatever meal. Or if you just want to go on YouTube and watch some videos, if you really want to learn something that's really simple and really every human should know how to do, why don't we just think, if I go on YouTube and I watch 5 videos about how to make a short rib, eventually when I watch the third video, it's going to be monotonous and repetitive, and I'm going to be like, okay, I get it. Because I got the exposure, and I'm going to notice the patterns and the correlations between the videos, and then I can just go do it. Why do we overcomplicate things that's really not that hard, especially in this century? But you see that initiative piece, like that guy said, oh, they're going to come on the market, they're going to saturate it. They ain't even thinking like how I just thought. So there's competition in the market. All they're going to do is just go work a job and then show that they can't compete. And then jobs are going to get tired and keep on hiring people and wasting their time, wasting their onboarding dollars, wasting their training dollars, as well as you spent money and you were paying the person for the duration that they were there, and they never actually drove any results because they have to be shown everything. They have to be told everything. They have to be forced to actually do what's in their best interest. Common sense.
Imagine that you've been on the system all your adult life, okay? And you've been able to pay low rent, like $2 rent in the beginning. Then it might have went up to $50, something like that. Now you ain't gonna be able to be paying that low rent like that no more because because now the new president for the second time, President Trump, he like no more Section 8 for a lifetime. Because some people have had Section 8 for a lifetime. Yeah, a lifetime. And they used to be you could pass it down a long time ago. And then it be passed down and all that. Trump said no more. They really giving notice. They're really sending notices to people about this Section 8 that they got 2 years. They really, really got 2 years. I was like, for real? One girl that I know got her notice. They said 2 years, baby, you out of here. So, y'all, Section 8 is not the Section 8 that it has been ever since it's been a long, long time. So, yeah, y'all getting them letters. So,
Seems like a sweet woman. So I don't have anything negative to say. I think that's good to share that people are actually getting those letters. Because ultimately, I'll leave on this point. What I think that the 2-year rule does is it just makes people weigh, one, whether or not they actually want to wait on that wait list just to get 2 years, because while you're on that wait list, in most cases you can't work. Otherwise, by the time you get called up to the front of the line, you'll no longer be eligible. I guess unless you quit your 2 jobs that you've been working to survive up to this point. Or what I found out recently is what a lot of people do is basically they'll just get on the waiting list and then go live with their family, or maybe even someone else on Section 8, and it'll be like a mutual agreement. And basically they'll wait until they're up in line to be able to get their Section 8. And then they kind of have like a blood oath to make it to where, hey, if anything ever happens to mine, then I can rely on you. It's kind of that type of bartering thing. But we'll leave it there for today. Y'all, if you could like the video again, like I said, it helps more than you know. It only takes a second. And it definitely, I definitely appreciate that. And then also, YouTube has a new feature called Hype. And what hyping does is it helps smaller content creators. And basically what that does is if you hype, you press it just like the like button. It'll show you the points that I have. And that'll basically push smaller content creators the same way it pushes larger ones. As well as if you are into self-improvement content, Patreon's link in the description as well. But until then, I'll catch you in the next video.